Hi guys, Talia Brooks here, and I'm so excited to make this video to answer all your guys' questions about makeup. As you can see, clean face, no beauty filter. I'm gonna be doing my makeup while I answer your guys' questions so I can kind of give you a visual demonstration of some of the things you want to know. So let's get right into it.
Feel free to check the timestamps for specific questions, but here's the order I'm gonna go into.
So before we get to the specific makeup questions, let's go over some of the broad ones, like, is makeup toxic? Will it affect my skin? Those were a few I saw. I do not say it's toxic at this point in time. If you look at anything in history, sometimes there were some questionable things that were put in to give it the pigment it has, but now that's all like very regulated. So I would not say that anything is inherently toxic. You can be allergic to things that are in it. It could cause you to break out. It could cause a reaction, but nothing is inherently toxic. Now, will it affect my skin? That is a more difficult question because everybody's skin is different. First of all, let's just get up in here. This is the only active spot. These are all faded acne from the last time that I broke out. You can see acne scars. There's another one that's active, but I have very acne prone skin. My skin fluctuates from dry to oily, so no matter what I do, whether I fully cleanse and use makeup remover, wash my face a bazillion times, it just tends to happen to me. I also do tend to use very harsh products when I do like full on like face paint looks like this. And that is also a factor for me personally, but I would say it's gonna affect your face in different ways. The main reason for this is because when you're putting makeup on your face, whether it's a powder, a liquid, anything, it's going to get into your pores. And now your pores don't magically just like disappear, like, you know, close fully off, especially if you like, I don't know, wash your face with hot water and then dry it off and immediately put makeup on. You are kind of leaving yourself more vulnerable to that because then your pores are more opened. But it's really going to depend on the person. But I will say that yes, it can cause acne. Yes, it can cause a reaction if you're allergic to something in the product. But I would not say that like it's going to ruin your skin drastically or anything like that. But you really just have to look for the products that are going to work for you and knowing what products break you out, I mean, at the end of the day, because if that's something that like you're okay with happening every once in a while, then yeah, whatever, you know? And now some last few questions before we start like actually putting on the makeup. One of the questions is age appropriate makeup. Like, hey, I'm 11, hey, I'm 12, I'm 13. What do you think is okay to be using on my face? Personally, I did not do a full face of makeup unless it was like, I don't know, a special occasion, like a wedding or like a school dance, until I was probably 15, 16, probably more 16, because I didn't have a need for it. And I think most people don't really have a need for it unless they really need that full coverage. I honestly think if you're on the younger side, like 11, 12, 13, and if you're like prone to acne or you have some spots you want to cover, a good color matched concealer is enough. Concealer, maybe a little mascara, maybe a little eyeshadow, and like some lip gloss. And like, I mean, you can use blush, but I honestly don't think that like you need a whole lot. And I am totally willing to do like a little makeup routine for that age range because I have gotten a few questions on that. So I'm definitely gonna do that for you guys. But I honestly, when I was that age, I didn't use a whole lot. And it really depends on you. Like, I'm not saying like you absolutely can't use foundation, you can't use concealer, you can't do your eyebrows. No, you can do whatever you want. But personally, I just found that like if I was using a lot of heavy products, that like it broke me out easier at that age. It just caused my skin to fluctuate, like oily and stuff. So, I mean, I just didn't really see a purpose in doing a whole lot at that age, especially when you can achieve a lot of looks with little product and it be less harmful for your skin. Now let's get into the foundation questions. One of my favorite foundations is the Fit Me by Maybelline, the like matte one. Like, this is one of my favorite products. On the cheaper end, I haven't had any problems with it. It's one of the only ones that have fit my skin tone because I'm like paler, but I don't have a lot of like yellowish undertones, and everything else when it like oxidizes becomes too yellow for me, and this is very neutral. So that's what I've liked it. I also have used the Revlon Color Stay. It is a little on the tanner orangey side for me, but it still works in the summer when I have a little, you know, more color going on. So what is the order that you should do your makeup in? Now, I always moisturize in the mornings and use sunscreen underneath my makeup all the time, especially if the foundation does not have any type of sunscreen in it. Now, as far as primer goes, I know a lot of people use primer. I will use it on occasion if I know that I need my makeup to stay for like hours upon hours. However, my skin type personally, it tends to break me out when I use it. It's really just a product that's meant to hold your foundation to your skin better. And it just kind of, that's the use for it. Like, it's just meant to really secure your makeup and make sure that like it sticks to your face and stays longer. But again, like, I have acne prone skin. It's not my favorite thing to use at all. Now, blending tips. Honestly, blend fast. Like, a lot of people talk about like, oh, I don't know why my makeup's just not blending right, like I'm having troubles with it. Blend fast. I personally put the makeup directly on the back of my hand and then put it on my sponge and then go to the face. Like, I'm not a big person of squirting it onto my face, like, because then I'm always getting the wet product when I go to blend it out. And that's just a personal preference for me. But as you can see, this is like virtually a perfect color match for me. When you're trying to find your perfect match, you should always match the color to your neck. Do not do the back of your hand. Don't do your wrist. Do your neck with the testers. And then go stand by a window. And if the store doesn't, if you have to walk outside, walk outside. Because the store lighting is going to be different than the outdoor lighting. It's going to be different than your house lighting. It's going to be different than school lighting. Like, light changes. So I totally recommend like looking at it in store, waiting about like 5-ish minutes just to like see if it oxidizes and stuff, and then walking outside or to a window and seeing what it looks like to see if that really changed in a different lighting. Because what you want to find is something that's going to look virtually the same in every lighting, where it's not suddenly going to become like 8 shades darker if you walk outside and it just matched because you're in the store. Like, you don't want to have to keep going back over and over again. So find that window. And as finding your color shade goes too, know your undertone. That's really going to help you know if you're warm, if you're cool, if you're neutral. I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, but if you look it up, it's like if your veins show up and they're like blue and green, then like you're more neutral, and then if they come off as green, you're like warm toned, and if they come off as blue, you're like cool toned. I think that's the right way. Double check me on Google because I'm forgetting sometimes. But like, so there's ways to find out your undertone, and once you know that, that's gonna make shopping a whole lot easier for your concealer, for your foundation, everything. As far as contours go, it's very important to know what look you're going for. If you are cool toned, you should get a cool tone contour. If you're warm toned, you should get a warm tone contour. If you're looking for that like summery tanned glow, a warm toned contour is going to do that better for you than a cool toned one is. So having the right like vision of your look is definitely going to help as well. So while I do some of this right here, one of the other questions was in specific that what is a good foundation if you're acne prone? Now, as far as being acne prone, that's gonna depend personally on your skin type too. Again, the Fit Me Maybelline is one of my favorites. I've always used it. As far as acne goes on your cheeks, I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity to go see a dermatologist, that you go see one. The reason for this is because I used to have really heavy acne on my cheeks. I'll put a picture right here, like in high school, like junior year maybe. I found out that it was like bacterial acne, and they gave me an antibiotic. I took it for like a month and a half to like 3 months. It's gone. It hasn't come back. It had nothing to do with the makeup. It just was basically like an infection kind of. And that really helped me. But as far as anything else, knowing your skin type is going to help you kind of figure out what works for you. So as we can see, this just blended. I'm just really emphasizing where my natural shadows are. So I'm just going on that line that I already see, adding a little, and taking my sponge again and blending it out. By using the sponge that I put foundation on, it's allowing for that contour not to be super heavy looking, super dense, especially if I accidentally put a little too much on my face. And it kind of just helps it blend all out. Now, as far as contouring your jaw, I only put a little in certain spots where I just don't feel like the natural shadow does it as well. And then we don't want to blend up, because then you're dragging it onto your face. You want to blend directly on your like jawbone right there and pull it down your neck, because that's gonna be the way that we really create that shadow. And also so that like if we have any excess product, we have somewhere to pull it. Because if I pull up, then we're just gonna have this weird tan line right here, and it's like, what is that? Like, where are you going with that? So just make sure you really blend it straight across, and then any excess gets pulled down. Same with our cheekbones too. Any blending should be pulled down, and then if you have excess, pull it back into your hairline. Don't leave like a weird unblended spot right there. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to walk out of the house with that either. So that's really important to just keep in mind. Now, contouring your nose, I personally do a little there, a little up here, and then just some on the sides. Everybody contours their nose differently, so this is a thing where I recommend like finding somebody who has this similar nose shape to you and seeing how they contour and how they like it. I kind of just, you know, make it up day by day, but I rather use less than more to start, because I don't want to get to the point where I'm like, oh, like now it just looks ridiculous. Like now I just have 2 lines on my nose. So I definitely, when you contour your nose, start with less, add as you need. Because like I honestly personally don't look for a super big change. Like I just look again to emphasize those natural shadows. So there we go. And then I know that some people like to put contour on their forehead. I kind of do that sometimes. Or put a bronzer, whatever, same thing. Make your little dots, blend into the hairline. Now, I had multiple questions about concealer, like, and I get it, concealer, hit or miss. I personally really like the CoverGirl concealer. I've been using it forever. Again, it's one of those that just happens to match my skin tone better. So I've always been using it. As far as placement goes, I tend to put a little right here to cover any more stubborn spots. Some here, some on the bottom of my nose, on my chin. Because I'm trying to brighten up these areas. In my concealer, I always try and get a shade that's like slightly lighter than my foundation, but not so light where I can't blend it. So if I need a spot cover up, if that makes sense. So like half a shade lighter or 1 shade lighter, so that it's still close enough where you could blend it out if you plan on just using concealer. And see, it didn't make a whole lot of difference, but I definitely have some extra coverage in those spots now. Now, I gotta get all up close and personal. Under eye bags. Some people have said that like, hey, like it's still showing through. I don't know what to do about that. And creasing. Under your eyes is not meant to hold a whole lot of product because the skin is thinner, it's more delicate. So sometimes instead of using like a traditional like color corrector, I take a little bit of orange eyeshadow, put a tiny bit, like that's a little too much, and then I just go and see where those really dark spots are, and I just like pat it in, right? Onto those spots, and I just blend it. This is before we do our concealer. And I'm just like applying that color to really try and counteract that purple. That's another thing. A lot of makeup is like knowing simple color theory so that you do know how to cover some of those important spots that like you just don't want to see. So I know it looks a little crazy, but now that we have that, I'm gonna take our concealer again, and I'm just gonna put a thin dot on the outside. And you don't even have to use a sponge for this, you can use your finger. And I'm just gonna slowly blend that over and really mix it with that color, because we're trying to get a really natural finish. And I'm just gonna keep going until it's all blended together. And if it doesn't make it all the way, add another tiny little dot onto those inner corners and just, you know, get back to blending. Don't push too hard. Remember, you should push very lightly, especially on that area. It's very delicate, and especially because we don't want to cake on product where it's going to be easier to crease again. And see, now we have that really natural color that matches the rest of our skin tone. After you do that, immediately you want to get in there with a setting powder. You want to get all up into that area, because that is going to help you not crease as much. Again, you want a lighter setting powder. You don't want something that's going to really cake up, but you want to set that makeup while there is no creases. As far as creasing goes, again, the amount of product is a factor. Throughout the day though, it is kind of inevitable. I hate to say it, I've never really had anything that has magically been able to hold out for like 10 hours without creasing. It's just the reality of it. It's not meant to be permanent, you know? So, and now I'm just kind of taking my setting powder and setting the rest of my foundation, because I don't plan on changing anything else in my base now that my concealer, my contour is down, along with my foundation. And see, it's kind of just taking away anything that's bright. It's been setting that stuff down. And so now we're ready to get into our blush and highlight. Now, I've actually had a lot of questions about blush recently, especially even on other posts. So you are not alone if you don't know how to properly do it. I, for beginners, personally recommend using a powder. Hold your horses, don't come at me. I know that liquid is the biggest trend right now, but there is a reason I say this, and that is because, wait for it, I have been doing makeup for 4 years. The first time I used a liquid blush, I came out looking like a clown, because I put like 2 little dots thinking that would be totally fine. No, it was way too much. So definitely start with a powder. So, oh my god, I've had this thing for forever, so no one judge me by the fact it's literally falling apart at this point. So I am gonna take my powder, I'm gonna circle my brush like so. Tap, tap, tap. Get all of that excess off, because you don't want to smack it onto your face and then just have this random circle of blush that's sitting there. As far as a more natural looking blush, placement can change based on your face shape. But how I was taught, the one time I went to a makeup lesson, you smile like this, start on your cheeks here, and go in a circular motion, dragging upwards. We're following that natural contour of our face, and we're just going in a circle and we're just slowly building the color. We're not applying too much pressure. As you can see, I'm kind of just ghosting over the area as it slowly builds up. And then once it builds in your cheeks, you can just go back in, add a little more in the other places that you're not seeing a whole lot. And there we go. A lot brighter in person. But because of the light, I'm having to like do a little more. And again, then you just do the same thing on the other side. You go back into that color, tap our brush off, and we're just going in that circular motion, really building that color up. And again, you don't have to smile. Again, we can have different blush placements too, where you start up here and that's where the brightest is. But no matter what you're doing, your first point of contact should be where you want the blush to be the brightest, because that's where you're depositing the most color. So yeah, and then I just tend to like go up under my eye anywhere that is like leaving a weird line where it doesn't look fully blended, and just kind of blend that together. And then you can always just put a little on your nose. And yeah. And then next I do my highlight. So again, the same way that we deposited our blush onto our brush, swirl it around the palette, tap it off. And now I tend to just highlight where the light naturally hits on the cheek here, on both sides, obviously. Don't forget the one side. And then I don't really do anywhere else other than the top of my nose, and occasionally a little bit right there, but not too much because my nose kind of gets shiny anyway. You can also do it under your eyebrow, above your lips. I believe above your lips gives that sweaty lip look, and that's just like not the vibe most of the time. So I don't really bother with anywhere else but my nose and then my cheekbone. Now my next few questions that I'm gonna get into have to do with the lips before we go to eyes, because there were a lot of questions about eyebrows, eye makeup, eyeliner. So we're gonna do those last. So I recommend, if you get now this is dark just for the sake of showing you guys, but getting a more natural kind of like lip liner may help you learn better. And I'm just gonna go where the natural shape of my lips is. And I'm just gonna keep pulling that to line my lips. Because by doing this, I'm giving myself a guideline. And then I can just kind of, you know, after I draw it on, check to see too, like, oh, is that gonna look the same when I fill it in? Like, did I draw that on symmetrically? And see, now we have a perfect guideline to go by. Now, if you mess up, I did not mess up, but I do have a little spot that's there. You can take a flat brush and put a tiny, not too much, bit of concealer on the end and go right along the line there. You can honestly do this around your entire lips too, to really help the color pop. Or you can also take a Q-tip with like some micellar water or makeup remover, get the little smudge, and then take again a flat brush and just dab in a little foundation there just to cover up that mistake. Now I'm gonna use one of my stains. This is Rimmel London. I literally have to order these on Amazon because I can't find them in a single store anywhere in the United States, and they're my favorite thing ever. And I think I ordered like 3 last time because I'm worried they're gonna get discontinued. But I just like am gonna go inside the lines that I just made and add that color, and then I'm just gonna put my lips together like that. And see, there we go. We have our lip color applied without having any crazy smudges outside. And then you're more than welcome to, you know, put your gloss or anything over it. This one literally comes with it. And you just, you know, apply it however much you want. I did have a really specific question that was, do you have any recommendations for any like lip colors, lipsticks that are good for people with like sensory issues that don't like tacky? This one I fear would not fit in that requirement. It does have a texture to it. I would ask how you feel about matte lipsticks. Max matte like lipstick, like the actual sticks, not a liquid, I feel like those aren't terrible as far as texture wise. Again, I don't have sensory issues, so I'm not exactly sure like what would set you off. I would ask how you feel about like chapstick, like Burt's Bees chapstick, stuff like that, because what you may be able to do is buy a matte lipstick and then put like chapstick over it, and maybe that would kind of help alleviate that feeling, and it would just feel like you're wearing chapstick. I would recommend maybe a tinted chapstick too, might help with that. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that question just because I personally don't deal with that stuff, so I wouldn't be able to know exactly what would not be great for you, but I would technically say that maybe matte lipsticks would be more of a place to lean towards, and using like chapstick as like a gloss. Or even like I have this like, it's like Vaseline, and it's like this lip therapy. It does have a little bit of a texture, but it's not as bad as like a lip gloss, but like once you put it on, it can look like a lip gloss. So maybe that's something to look into. Somebody did ask me about putting Vaseline on your lips. It's not something I do often personally. I don't know that much about it. I don't know like how much it really helps. I do use that like specific lip therapy one every once in a while, and I like it, and I think it helps with my lips. But as far as like, is it good or bad to put Vaseline on your lips? Like, I personally haven't heard anything atrocious about it. I know people who do it and they've never had a problem, so I would say to each their own. Like, I don't think it's terrible, and I've never had anybody that I know have like a negative effect to it. So yeah. Now on to the highly requested eye makeup, specifically eyeliner, because y'all were busting it down in the comments asking for eyeliner tips, and I am here for you. Elf Line and Define eye tape. This is something I've had for probably 4 to 5 years now. I will show you the size of one of these. I mean, it comes with 40 strips. I've used probably over my time 4 or 5. So this is how long they are, first of all, which like, that's really freaking long. You can literally cut them in half and put one on each side. I will do one eye with it so that you guys can see like what I'm talking about. I highly recommend this, especially if you're trying to learn liquid eyeliner, because then it gives you a guide of where to go, and then once you get into that like muscle memory of it, like you won't need it anymore. So you can use eye primer when you're doing eyeshadow or not. I'm gonna do a natural eyeshadow today, so I'm just not gonna bother and prime my eyes, especially because I'm going for a color that's similar to what my natural eye color is. I'm only gonna use one palette so I can show you guys like you can be resourceful with this type of stuff. So I'm gonna start with like my upper eye, and I'm just gonna go in with like this pinkish brownish color, tap off my excess. It's like a magic trick. And then I'm just gonna take it, again, start on the outside. We always start on the outside of where we want our color to show the darkest. And then I'm just gonna lightly apply it across the top of my lid here, just to build up that color. Again, you can go in the circular motion like we did with our blush. And then I'm gonna take this close to skin tone color, because that's just what my skin tone is, and I'm just gonna do it around the edges of where we just blended, just to make sure we have a very clean finish. And next I'm gonna go in with my brown, and I'm just gonna take this brown and I'm gonna start at the very edge and go in a circular motion. And then once we make sure that like that color is dark there, I just pull over the lid, just really making sure that that color is becoming like intense enough. And once I finish doing the eyeshadow, I am gonna do 2 different types of eyeliner on each eye to show you guys like what are your options. How do I make my eyes look bigger? How do I make it look more fierce? How do I use a liquid liner? Stuff like that. So on this side, I'm gonna do my liquid liner, and then on this eye, I'm gonna do like kind of a more natural, how to make your eye look bigger type of eyeliner. I'm also gonna add a little shimmer to this. I'm just gonna put some of the gold on my finger and I'm just gonna kind of tap onto the lid and just really deposit that. And then I can take my brush and just the edges kind of blend it together with the color that's already there. Now, if you want to put a shimmer on your inner corners, just be aware that like when you put some makeup like on the inner corner of your eye, it is going to make your eyes appear a little bit like farther apart just because you're putting product there. So you're like creating space basically. So if your eyes are closer together and you want them to look wider apart, that also is something that can be a beneficial move for you. As far as making your eyes look bigger, I don't recommend using harsh eyeliner if you want your eyes to look bigger. So that's why I'm going to use a natural more look on this eye. So I recommend getting a brush, very thin, as you can see here. And I'm going to go in with a black eyeshadow actually. If you put a little dot of like water on either like your mirror or the counter, dip the end of the brush into it, then dip it in the eyeshadow, and it'll really bring out that pigment and make it more like eyelinery. So I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna press onto my lash line there and just kind of deposit that color down. Again, we're just like pushing down and wiggling. We're not looking for like something that's like crazy visible or anything. So you can obviously already see the difference. Like, and then I'm gonna skip the middle part because again, we want our eyes to look bigger. And I'm gonna go to this end of the eye and do the same type of thing. We're just wiggling that to really just put that color down on the end here until we're like happy. So see how we've kept our like shape, but again, like see how my eye seems to go down over here. Now it seems to look like it keeps going out. And now this is where a lot of like downturned eyeliner can come in handy too. See, I'm just extending that line just a little bit out there. And you can also use like, how do you say it, like Doyen techniques kind of, and also go like below your lash line a little bit and just kind of create like a line. Not something like super duper noticeable, but enough where it's like, oh, there's like the main line, rather than see how we're like away from that. And it kind of creates that illusion my eye is wider. See how we kind of have like now that shape of like, oh, it's very circular, it's very round, but we don't really want to get super heavy anywhere in the middle because we're trying to look wider. You can also put a little bit right there. And see, now we have that wider shape. Now, as promised, I'm going to use this for the sake of doing our eyeliner. The good thing about these with how long they are is you should line it up with like the line of your eyebrow basically. So like wherever your eyebrow would be if it's over here, like that. And you can just like put it on, tap it lightly. We don't catch your eyelashes in it. And then you can get out your eyeliner. So I'm using a felt tip liquid liner. The It Cosmetics Superhero Liner. This is like one of the best eyeliners I've ever had in my entire life. I kid you not. Like, I'm obsessed with it. So basically what we're gonna just do is we just go right along the line and we just like fill in that space from where we just drew that line. And then we're just gonna go, I always recommend starting with the wing and placing that first and then connecting it from there. Because if your line gets too thick over here, then your wing is gonna have to be super thick. So I recommend starting with the wing and working your way back into the eye. Then come to the inside of your eye and do the liner along the lashes. And I'm staying super tight to my lash line there. I'm not doing too much at a time. I recommend going slow. And then if we're like, wow, that looks good, we take our, I'm trying like, and we just, whoop, See? That's super cute. And like honestly, like you can see like right at the edge there where we got a little bit of our eyeliner, but it didn't even pull off like that much makeup either. Like you can't even tell. It can be super easy to just do something like that. And then if you're like, oh, it doesn't look connected or something, just go back in and just really just fill those spots in. But that tape will really help you learn how to create the shapes you want to make. And again, that's really upturned. Obviously, if you put the tape down, it can be more straight across and stuff. For sake of consistency, before I do my eyebrows, I'm just gonna do the other eye like this one. Again, this is where you can use the tape again. This is where having that line with your eyebrow will really come in handy in making them symmetrical. But I'm just gonna freehand. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And now you just really want to make sure that dries before you go to curl your eyelashes or anything, just because we don't want to mess up all our hard work. Okay, mascara recommendations. Now, I know before I say it, I want to say it, I know the whole Michaela thing happened, but I've been using this before she fake promoted it and stuff. The telescopic mascara. I love it. I've been using it for years. I used their first formula. I'm on the new formula. The telescopic mascara, just like, it's what I like personally because I think it's easy to use. I like the wand on it to apply it. And so that's like my big thing with them is like which ones I like the wand on more than the formula, because I feel like I can personally make any formula work for me as long as I like the actual applicator of the wand itself. Now, getting all up close and personal. So when you apply your mascara, look down at a mirror. Do not try and look at it like this. Like, look down. It's gonna make it a whole lot easier. So you're gonna look down at your mirror. You're going to take the wand, put it right at the base, wiggle the brush, and then pull up. By doing this, we're getting all those clumps and getting them to stay at the bottom so that they don't come like to the edge of our lashes or anything. And again, every single time you do it, because we're trying to keep our lashes separated and just keep it from clumping up. So see? And it really just sticks them together. You just pull up. And then as far as the bottom lashes go, I just do like a little quick run through because I don't like a whole lot of mascara on my bottom lashes, but like sometimes there's nothing you can do about it and a lot gets on anyway. And then yeah, then you have your lashes. Now with like eyeliner like this is something that I would be willing to put false lashes on for the sake of this video. I'm not going to do that because nobody asked me to and I hate them. I just don't like false lashes as much as some people do. Like they're just a hassle in my opinion, so if I don't have to do them, I just don't do them. Now, question of the day has been eyebrows. Like, oh my goodness, I didn't know eyebrows were such a struggle. But I am not a person who likes to do their eyebrows most of the time because mine are already, they're kind of thick. So you guys are gonna have to bear with me on the fact that I did not pluck my eyebrows before this, and it's about that time where I have to pluck them again. So we're just gonna go with what we have right now. So first things first, take your eyebrow brush, brush them straight up, my friends. I know that seems crazy in the moment, but I want you to do it. And we just want to see what we're working with, you know? Like, how much hair do we got actually going on? So there we go. Now I can clearly see, like right here and right here, where we have some like empty spots. I'm just gonna take one of my, you can either use a brush. Honestly, you could probably use some eyeshadow to fill in your eyebrows for all I care. I'm very unconventional. I'll do whatever the heck I want. Like this, I'll take my eyebrow brush and I'm just gonna go into those spots and apply a little bit of color. Like I'm not looking to make this like super heavy just because of the look today. Like I don't want a full snatched glam brow. We want to go more natural. So I'm just kind of applying that color into some of more of those like empty bald spots. I don't want to call them bald spots, but it's the best I can think of at the moment. And really just get in there with it. So see, we've kind of filled in some of those spots. And then I'm gonna take my brush again, brush straight up, and this is gonna help us blend that color in there. It's gonna help us really just blend, and then I'm gonna shape it how I would want it to be shaped when I slick it down. As you can see, like, this stuff is stuff I need to pluck, like, right there. But see, now it's much more filled in than, like, here, I'll brush this one up and shape it so you can kind of see. Like, see, we have those spots that are now more filled in on the side. So that's highly what I recommend doing, is just going in and seeing what spots are darker and filling it in. And then if you're like me, where you want a good glam brow every once in a while, you can take your concealer and a flat brush like we had earlier, and you can just cut out the brow on the bottom and on the top too. You just basically go around like here, across here, pull that bottom out, across the top, right there, with your concealer, just to snatch it. And then once you're happy with the color of your brows, this is something that's more of like an extra if you need them all day. Clear brow gel, or even like a tinted one, where you just brush over your brows and then kind of make sure they stay in the shape you want them to, will just kind of hold them in place all day. It's almost like hairspray, but for your eyebrows. That's what I always say. Yeah. Again, I'm not super big on eyebrows, so I hope that was at least a little bit helpful for you guys. Please let me know if you want to hear anything else about doing your eyebrows. Honestly, I think this came out really, really cute. Now, I'm not going anywhere, so I'm not going to use any setting spray. Does setting spray help? I personally, I mean, I feel like it does in some cases, but in some cases, like, it doesn't help enough to use it. It depends on the brand, in my opinion. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I answered all your questions. Please feel free to comment any more questions you guys have. I love answering stuff like this. Make sure to like and subscribe so that like you guys get notifications of when I put out more stuff like this. Yeah, just let me know what you guys thought of the video. And I hope to see you guys on my channel more. Bye!